Hello, future people. Welcome to Getting Tabled. I'm Jason the Bruce, and today we're checking out the Soldiers of Fortune from Aristeia. Now, that's a little odd, you may be thinking. You've never looked at Aristeia before, and you'd be right. So the reason I'm looking at Aristeia is, well, it's a couple of reasons. I mean, it starts with a very obvious one. I've never looked at it. There's a couple of people within our gaming group that actually own the game, and I've been intending to try and play that for a while. It just hasn't kind of happened. And I gave in to temptation. This was on sale at a fairly decent price. So I figured, hey, it's a couple of minis to paint. It's not a huge thing. Granted, I really don't need to add to my pile of shame/opportunity right now. But it was a chance to check out something different for the channel. I mean, I don't have a lot of funds to continue to buy things just for the channel. That is something that I'm very much stopping doing because I just can't afford to continue doing it. But this was on sale, and I just, at that point, it made sense to do it. Let's get down and have a look. All right, so here we are. We have the box art. This is actually quite nice box art. It's very, very different from Infinity, which is the only real exposure I've had to Corvus Belli at this stage. Because, well, it's the only game they have out. But it's very, very pretty. So we got some tokens here. I can't really tell you what any of these tokens mean. I would assume that they are specific to the faction to some extent. Either that or this is just added value, much like Marvel tries to do this for added value within the Atomic Mass Games game. We also have a couple of decks of cards. I love the artwork. I mean, it's essentially just the artwork from the front of the box, but that's not a bad thing. So I think that everybody has their own cards. So that's Hannibal. That's Luxembourg. Okay, I've just realised what's going on. We have different cards for each language. So these are all the same card, but for different languages. And then we have the same for Stunned. So we have our English card here in the front. I can't say that the writing on this is perfect. It's certainly not as well translated as previous things I've seen from Corvus Belli, but it's still certainly clear. And there we have the English translation for Hannibal, the English translation for Valkyrie, and by pure chance, I already have the Massacre one at top. I suspect that I have a mispack or an error in this because this all is in English, this all is in English, but that is Spanish. The title on all of these are English. The writing appears to be German. I don't know German, that looks like German to me. It appears that I have a box of cards that have been printed wrong. Which is very interesting. So, I don't know what to really say about that. I mean, obviously that's not a good thing, if I'm right. In saying that, I mean, the cards still work. It's just they don't have names on them that they should have. I do applaud them for doing this whole... I mean, look, I am receiving 3 lots of cards that I will never use, and that's fine. I mean, they can be recycled. It's kind of a waste. But at the same time, from a business point of view, the cost associated with this is going to be much less than having to produce the same content but with different cards 4 times. So purely from a logistical point of view, it is actually probably better for this can all be recycled, and it means that we don't have lots and lots of different SKUs of packaging, which is very expensive. It's not a perfect world, but we don't live in a perfect world. I applaud them. I think this is probably the better way of doing it, despite what I feel is an obvious error. And then we get into our models.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but I want to tell you about the competition that we're running through our Patreon. For every month of support you give our Patreon, from now until April, you will receive 1 entry into the competition that we're running to win a Shaltari fleet for Drop Fleet Commander. That includes a Shaltari Dreadnought, a Shaltari Starter Set, a Shaltari Frigates box, and a Shaltari Cruisers box. All of this will be sent to 1 winner. This winner will be drawn at random on our 4th anniversary, which is recorded at the beginning of April. For us to be allowed to send this to you, you need to fit 2 categories. You must be living in a country where it's legal for me to post you something from Australia. You also must be living in a country where it is legal to win competitions. If you do not live in a country that meets these criteria, then I do apologise. There's nothing that I'll be able to do, and I will be forced to redraw it. Please consider supporting us. We'd really appreciate it. All of this was purchased with my own money. No Patreon.
So these are all one piece. Quite gorgeous, honestly. Really, really stunning. This appears to be PVC. I would say these are board game quality minis. The sculpting is absolutely phenomenal. But this is not hard plastic. It is a cheaper plastic. At least from the look of it anyway. It's hard to read on camera, but underneath here it says 4 Corvus Belli. So this guy appears to be kind of like a luchador / assassin type guy. Details are really, really nice on these. A little bit soft in places maybe, like the hair's kind of a little soft compared to their middle stuff. But that's not the detail is still amazing. Like washers are going to do absolute wonders on that. And it's not that fine that you're going to have trouble. Personally, I think this guy, when he has very much a classic sort of very stereotypical miniature pose of a leader with his gun up in the air and he's pointing, but I quite like this. I'm kind of tempted to say I want to paint him up kind of like Neo from the Matrix. Or from the Matrix. Or I could kind of make him into like a modern day Duke Nukem type thing. That might be fun. I might just try to paint these guys up to look like their artwork though, as closely as I can. I do like the look of that light coloured trench coat. And here we have Valkyrie with her massive axe. I think she's significantly larger. Yeah, big time. She's like Space Marine equivalent to everybody else. She's huge. So there's not a lot of weight in these minis. Like they are quite light, but that's like she's not going to have any issues standing up at all. If you're concerned about that, you could probably add a washer underneath this to try to, but I genuinely wouldn't be concerned about it. The detail, again, is just absolutely phenomenal. Little bit of bending there on the weapon, so you are going to want to take to this with some hot water. It's not quite as perfect as resin, because the board game quality minis do tend to kind of want to go back into their original shape. But if you get them into some warm water, like hot from, like, don't have boiling water, but hot water from the tap, and try to see if they will naturally go back into their straight shape or not. It's not going to be as easy getting these sort of things straight as it would be with resin, because it does tend to want to flex, unfortunately. That's just the nature of this sort of material. Looks like underneath the bases are all the same. Nope, that one says 5. That one says 4. That one says 4. That one says 4. So my assumption is that the number on the base is something equivalent to the height of the Mini, but I wouldn't know that for sure. So there we go. That's the Soldier of Fortune from Aristeia. I quite like this, honestly. Like, you're getting 4 different languages in the box, which is very helpful. There is that frustration of the cards that I've received appear to be misprinted. That's definitely a mark down on this particular one. I would imagine that I should be able to go back to Corvus Belli and get that fixed. It depends on whether they've caught the error from their side and had reprints done or not. It's possible that you might get stuck having to download a free one as a replacement. But honestly, I kind of like this. It's really nice. Quality of the minis is really good, which for board game style PVC is not always easy. You do get a little bit of bending, and that's kind of normal in this sort of area. But the quality of the minis in this are absolutely phenomenal, far better than they have any right to be. They are really, really good. Corvus Belli has done really nice with this. Now, I've only had a look at one thing, but as a first exposure, you really can't have a go at it. This is really nice. They've done really well here.
You've made it through to the end of another video. Your next mission is to hit subscribe and comment down below. If you'd like to reach out to the team, consider doing that, gettingtabled@gmail.com. Consider subscribing to our Patreon. For only $2 a month, you get early access to almost every single video that we do. Our most active social media is facebook.com/gettingtabled. It's where you'll find everything first. There's also a Discord. There's an invite on screen right now. If you type that in, it'll give you instant access. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at gettingtabled. It's not the most active, but it's something we're trying to use more all the time. Come and check out Jason the Bruce at Twitch. He does both video game and hobby content. And of course, without question, play more games.